Hi, everybody. This panel is entitled Practical Adoption of AI in Education in Brazilian Institutions. The setting for this panel is all the panelists will be speaking in Portuguese, but we don't know yet if you if you have the translation. So please let me know if this panel could be in Portuguese, if all of you can hear and have the transcriptions in English, please. They are allowed to write in the chat. It's okay. We can try to start in Portuguese. And if you have trouble to understand or don't have the translation, we could change for English as well, as you prefer. Okay? So welcome, Rafael Ferreira Mello, welcome, Elaine Harada, and welcome, Diego Dermeval. We are glad to talk with you about this really exciting topic. So we have 2 moments of this panel. The first, you will present some slides and explain your view. And after we have the discussion time. So thank you very much for being here. Please, welcome.
Hello, so I can start with my presentation. Again, everyone, we were expecting to be speaking Portuguese, so my slides will be in Portuguese, but I can speak in English at least during the presentation. And I have just a few slides to start our initial kickoff of the panel with some ideas. I basically brought here 4 ideas for us to discuss from my side in terms of how we could adopt AI and learning analytics here in Brazil. The first point is to consider the context of our country, and especially the context of each institution. So, for instance, we did initial analysis of the institution that I'm working on, and we identified the main needs from students and from teachers using several questionnaires and interviews, and we can see that students and teachers need very different things for each other. And this was a very nice finding because we also compare with other institutions in Europe, and these findings are pretty much very different from what they have there. So this is something very relevant to adopt this technology in practice. And just to give an idea on what we are doing right now at my institution is we are running this cycle of 4 steps. And the first step is to identify these needs. And then we do some exploration of relevant tools to address these needs. So it will be the second step. If we identify the tool, we can run a pilot with a few teachers. And then based on the results of this pilot, we can provide this as a service or not. So we are running these services since the beginning of this year, like this process since the beginning of this year. And this is a cycle. So every semester we identify some needs, we try to find a tool, we run a pilot, and then we have this as a service. The second thing that I would like to show is some applications that we are using in practice, and basically 2 applications that are related to feedback and assessment. The first one is we have used OnTask. I don't know if any of you heard about OnTask. It was a tool. It is a tool developed in Australia. And just to give an idea on what this tool does is like you have this generic email when you can write rules, and then based on these rules, the system identify which student have done different in the activity, and then it sends an email through this tool. And with this, I used this tool in my courses, and it was a very good experience because the students felt that like Rafael is sending me personalized messages, and they engage even more in the activities for the second half of the course. So yeah, this is a tool that uses data analytics and AI to personalize the feedback. Uh, and we are also trying this other tool that's called Tutoria. I just showed you here a scheme on how it works. So basically imagine that you have the student one and the question one, and this is in spaces in gray are the student's answers. And the teacher can come here and start to create some tags to say if something's right or wrong, and write a feedback message here. And then when the teacher starts to correct the question, same question, but for the student too, the system uses AI to recommend tags. So we have this recommendation system inside of the assessment process. And over the time, with more students, with more corrections that the teachers do, this tags recommendation becomes better and better. And at some point, the teacher's work would be to accept or to reject these tags. So this is the mid ground between fully automated assessment and completely not automated assessment. And the role of AI in this case is to do these recommendations. This is an example of feedback that the student will see. So the student here received 2 comments related to some mistakes that they did, but also 2 related to what they did right. So yeah, this is the way that we do feedback in the second tool. Third point is education. Good quality education should be for all. I just have one slide for this because I know that Diego will touch on this topic again. And this is a project that we worked together with the Minister of Education here in Brazil. And it basically, the goal of the project is to do some essay scoring, but as in Brazil, many institutions don't have internet access, and they don't have like notebook for all the students. So we needed to create this mobile app here on this side, where the teachers can take pictures of the essays that were handwritten in a piece of paper. And then we go through a computer vision process to extract the text, as shown this in this other video right here. And ultimately, we want to extract this type of analysis, like analyzing 4 different aspects that the Minister of Education recommended us to analyze, and we use an LP for that. So this is an example on how to use AI in a context where we don't have like equipment that we are used to have when we are using AI, and we don't have also some a good quality internet connection. Sometimes we don't have internet connection at all. But this is not a reason for don't use AI. This is the message here. We can use AI to fill this gap, even if we don't have the equipment with the students and teachers. And the fourth point that I want to raise here is the use of generative AI. in education. And I just want to highlight two things. One is a white paper that we wrote together with a few colleagues from Brazil on topics related to what the companies are doing in terms of generative AI in education around here, but also an experiment that we are doing. And this text is in Portuguese, but just to give some highlights, and then we can answer questions. We have a data set with around 7,500 answers for 750 questions. So more or less 10 answers for each question. And 8 of these answers came from humans, for students, and 2 of these answers came from GPT-4. And then all of these answers were assessed by humans, and our results shows that oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that these are open-ended questions, right? So these are not multiple choice, and they are not essays as well. So it's answers between 50 to 100 words. And in average, GPT-4 reached results 15% better than the humans in terms of answering questions. But on the other side, when we tried GPT-4 to assess these questions, it just had a 32% of agreement with humans. So in theory, it was not that good to assess questions, but we know that the prompt could have a high influence in this test. So we are trying more sophisticated prompt to try to improve these results. And just to close my part, so I can hand over to my colleagues, a couple of invites for those who are here in Brazil or who speaks Portuguese. We will have this panel next Thursday with 2 invites from US, Ryan Baker and Seiji Zotoni, and they will discuss how generative AI could influence education. And also the final invitation is to join us in 2024, because we will have AI Ed here in Brazil. So it will be very nice to have all of you with us here and participating in this conference. So that's it for my side. I will hand over to my colleagues so they can speak, and then we can discuss.
Thank you, Rafael. So please, you can take all your questions in the chat. And now we're going to be Diego's presentation. And after all the 3 presentations, we'll get the questions to the panelists. Diego, I think you have to switch.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Is that okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, good morning, whatever you are now. It's a pleasure to talk more about what we are doing here in Brazil, in NIS, which means in English Center for Excellence in Social Technologies. And my talk here will be focused on how to help teachers using AIED, and especially in a perspective that Rafael started to talk more about, which consider the inequalities and the inequities that we have here in the country regarding the access to technologies. And The group is we call that we are a Brazilian network of researchers, government and NGO, and we have more than 30 institutions working, researchers from different institutions working together. And we have 3 lines of action, which are research and evidence generation, research that we, as researchers, we conduct, digital transformations using technology to help improve the process, and also research-based public policy support. And I will deep in the topic about collaboration with public policymakers and government to build solutions based on research regarding AI in education. And one of the cases that I'm presenting today is related to the policy that was created last year related to the use of technology to help recovering learning students that were having a bad performance, a poor performance in math and Portuguese. And it was the problem increased from during the pandemic. And for example, here from 19 to 21, the learning proficiency in math and in Portuguese decreased. And as Rafael mentioned, we have a problem here in Brazil related to internet access and access to technology. So there is unequal access to the connectivity, and we have, for example, more than 100,000 schools with bad connectivity, not enough, for example, to use AI, and not in other less sophisticated educational technologies. And also we have many schools that they don't have even energy. So there's a big policy now in Brazil that is trying to tackle this problem by 26. The government is proposed to connect all these schools and help to create a better infrastructure for that. And but it takes time to do that. But even with no connectivity, we need to find ways to help those people and help to not increase the gap, the inequality between the people that use AI and the people that don't use AI. So I'll present two applications, one for Portuguese for writing that Rafael presented to, and also another one for math learning. And the process, as Rafael explained it, it starts with a manuscript initially that students they write the pen and sheet, and then the teacher they have a low-cost app that takes a picture of the manuscript, and with the process visual computation process and natural language processing, it helps to diagnose the problems that students have and the levels that they have in different aspects of writing, and then helps the teacher to give individualized feedback. So it's part of a policy of the Ministry of Education, It's available for the schools to use that. And it brings the concept, this idea brought the concept of researchers, Brazilian researchers are working together to create this kind of different perspective of using AI in education, which we called AI-ED Unplugged. Tomorrow there will be a panel about that with Iggy Bittencourt, Seiji Zotani, and other colleagues about AI-ED in underserved communities, for example, Brazil and other countries in Global South. And the idea here is to to use AID in contexts that we intuitively think that it's not possible to use AI, but we can find ways to do that. And there are 5 dimensions. The first one is considering the available infrastructure, use the internet whenever available, consider proxies, for example, teachers. In the application that I showed, teacher is a proxy to the between the students that is not used, they are not using a technology, and the AI that is embedded in some technology in the hand of the teacher. And also consider the resource, the resource in many places they are shared between students and between teachers. And also we have many problems with digital competence, and many people in Brazil, they don't have enough the necessary digital competence to use technologies, and it's important to not require additional digital skills from them. And the other application that I'd like to show today is the similar strategy, but applied to math learning. And the real world settings is kind of complicated. It's complex because they use that there are many strategies for solve the problems, math problems, and the students they don't necessarily have the same method to solve the questions. And but we are having some good results in working with visual computation and natural language processing and other technologies to identify the resolution of the questions, math problems. And we can see here different strategies for solve questions, math questions. And that and just to summarize, we are actually thinking on a different type of intelligent tutoring system. The traditional intelligent tutoring system, they have for instance 4 models: pedagogical model, domain model, learner model, and the interface, how the student interact with the system. And with the unplugged model, we are considering different settings for using the ITS. For example, teachers here, they work as a proxy for the between the student and the ITS. And some prototypes, we are in the middle of the process. We are running a pilot by the end of the month. And we also with the support of the Ministry of Education. And we have many open challenges when we bring the perspective of unplugged and teachers and how to support teachers in this process. We have many open problems and a big challenge. Many students, many teachers, and that's it. Just an invitation to. We have an open special issue. I think we postponed the deadline, but I think it's closed now. But special issue, we have summarized many interesting research about AID in Global South and including Brazil. Thanks so much. I'll be here to answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego, for the presentation. And in the last presentation will be presented by Elaine Harada. Please, Elaine.
Oh, hi, everyone. I was hoping to speak in Portuguese. I would even like to make a test. Se eu falar em português, alguém que está participando entende? Na sua própria língua? Também não temos resposta no chat, né? Okay, I think I'll move on in English, but I was really prepared to talk in Portuguese so I could talk more freely and talk about our research, but I think that's okay. Can you see just a moment? I should. I cannot put on full screen, but okay. Well, I'm here to present some projects from my research group. So it's not only my research group, and different from other presentations about learning analytics in computer science 1. I'm not bringing some results, but I'm bringing some projects that we are running, some projects that are in the very beginning, because we've already talked a lot about our results, but in this talk, I really want to say what we are doing now and what do we plan for the future, and maybe discuss something. So we are in the Federal University of Amazonas in the Institute of Computing, and we work with an online judge called CodeBench. It's a self-devised online judge. I'm not sure if you're familiar with online judges, but it's a system where you can code, you can write your script, your program, and you receive on-time feedback. If it's correct, if it's not, where is the error? We do some case tests. And we also collect a lot of data. So everything that's typed, every key pressed is collected. So we have a lot of information about behavior, student behavior in the system. We also, I don't have a screen for this, but we also have a big data set from 2013. We collect this data from this Computer Science 1 course. Sorry, it's in Portuguese, but I'm going to translate. These are ongoing projects. So one of them is my PhD student. She is working with groups formation. And the idea is that the students, they have learning paths in the system. They maybe have similar or very different learning paths. So the idea is to group them in pair programming, for example, to do a task together. So we are gonna investigate if it's better to have similar learning paths, students working together, or if it's better to have different behaviors and join them together. This is one of our research. And the other one is based on explainable AI. So the idea is that we collect a lot of data, we have predictions, we have clustering, but do students understand what is happening? Do the instructors understand what is happening? Why do we have this prediction? What features are most important for this student or for that class? So the idea is to have not a black box anymore, but to have a transparent box. So every student or every instructor can understand what AI is given to them. Another work is based on plagiarism. So the idea is to detect plagiarism. And the most common works on this are based on code similarity. So the idea is to see how similar a code is from another one. And it's okay if you have big codes. I mean, if it's a more complex code. But in the very beginning, like computer science 1, usually the codes are very small and they are very similar. And sometimes they are similar to what the instructor taught. So it's very hard to detect plagiarism if someone copied the code from another one. So as we collect this data, this very fine-grained data, the idea is to see, do the students that copy and paste, do they have different behaviors from the one that is really coding? Do they show this behavior in some kind of key pressing or something? So the idea is to combine code similarity with behavior in this online judge code bench. The other idea is to do some clustering, but the idea is to see in a different, for example, an assignment, how many different clusters do we have? Not different solutions, but how many different groups of solutions do we have? As students may think differently, we may have different clusters. And as we have this online judge now, and we use it in every class with every instructor, instructors actually don't look at every code as we use it to do. So the online judge already corrects the codes. So the idea is to give to the instructor the clusters, different clusters, and so he or she doesn't have to look at every code, but he can look at the clusters and say, oh, okay, we have this pattern, this pattern, this pattern. Oh, this pattern is not what I want, what we need. So we can take a look, a closer look to this group or something like that. So the idea is to have the instructor closer to the students, but not that close that he or she has to look at every code. He or she can look at clusters. And the other work is about visual learning analytics. So we do learning analytics. We trace the student's behavior there in the system. But how do we show this to the student and to the instructor? The idea is to have in a screen the most important information in a nice visual way. So a PhD student is working on that. What to show, when to show, who to show. So the idea is to have a very user-friendly, let's say, learning analytics. And the last work is about authentication, I'm not sure. But the idea is that every student or everyone has a different way of programming. And this is a problem because we here in our university, we have cases of plagiarism. So the student, he or she has a login and a password, and he gives his information or her to another student. So we don't know the student. He or she can log in and do the assignment for the other one. So the idea is to have this authentication every, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and see, oh, he or she looks like the one that was doing the previous assignment, and he or she is the one that's doing this test, for example. So the idea is that each of us have a different pattern of programming, and the idea is to see that in the behavior. So basically, the ongoing projects are these, besides the other ones that I already talked in other talks. And sorry, I want to close up with some reflections. As we have working a lot with behavior, is behavior everything? Or should we think about other things, cognition? I don't know. We are very focused on behavior. And the idea is to discuss with you, with the audience, if you can think in other things. Learning theories, for example, psychology, I don't know. What is the future for computer science 1 as we have these other tools, the AI tools? How do we deal with that? Do they really need to learn how to program? And the final question is, do we think that AI is going to help, can help? How it can help. So my main idea was to bring some of our ongoing projects and leave to the audience and to my colleagues this question so we can discuss. So thank you so much, Isabela and other friends. That's it. Stop.
Thank you all for the great presentations, Rafael, Diego, and Elaine. So we have already have some comments in the chat. Janet described the cognition phenomenon that happen in these environments. That will be a great things to thinking about, not only the behavior, but the cognition or even the emotions that we could get. If you can talk a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, one of my dreams, let's say, it's not to look at only at behavior, but also look at cognition. How are they paying attention? Are they memorizing? Are they really learning? So it's like a dream. But can we collect this from this data, or should we collect other kind of data? Not sure yet. I don't want to be very invasive, like have cameras and gadgets. I mean, if the students is just programming, can we collect some cognitive phenomena? Not sure.
Diego and Rafael, we want to implement.
No, I think if we could always look into different dimensions, would be nice. But then we need to consider the other aspects, like what Elaine said, should it be invasive? And other things also, like Elaine works in the Amazon, and as we were discussing, it's a huge state in a huge country with different possibilities, let's say. So not everyone would have access to these equipments to collect data in a different sense. So it's always a balance between having more data to do further analysis and try to reach more people and more institutions. And yeah, I think this is always a balance between these things. So we need to consider these aspects and not only try to get as much as we can.
Yeah. Just Janet complement the chat that we can model cognitive partners from the codes using learning analytics. Yeah, I think it's as Rafael said, I think it's important to have different dimensions to understand and go deeper in the learning analytics analysis. Okay, thank you very much, Janet. We have also a comment from Matthew. How about metadata from systems students are using? Like, for example, AGG, LMS, login data, IP address changes suddenly to a distinct location may indicate contact cheating. I think this is directly to the Elaine's project.
Okay. Oh, yes. What I would say that in our case, we do the tests, the logins in a lab, in a computer lab. So they don't do in their home or, I mean, online. And even though they do have, do have some cheating. So we restrict to a computer lab, and even though sometimes they cheat. But yeah, if it was online, we could look at this metadata for sure. For sure.
Please, guys, feel free to write in the chat, and we can write or even in the WOVA place. I'm checking that too. But waiting for these really great questions, I have some questions for you all. So, for instance, what do you think about what particularities in Brazil do you think could interfere in this adoption of AI?
Can I try to jump in? Thank you for the question, Isabela. I think in Brazil we have a huge diversity, and we have, for example, some cities with higher high levels of education, high levels of socioeconomic situations, and also, and in other areas we have very poor places, very poor access to schools and to to quality to qualitative learning, or learning with quality. So I think that there is one of the problems, because when we, for example, in the experience with the Ministry of Education, they need to think policies, design policies, public policies for all in the country. But when they try to implement that, they need to consider the diversity. And it's so diverse that it's difficult to find solutions that could scale to different, from one city to other city. For example, from our region, for example, my region and Rafael, and also Elaine's region, which is northeast of Brazil. There is a very, they are very complicated to scale some high-tech solutions in many places. And so I think the diversity is a problem, and to think policies that could scale for the different situations. Just a comment.
Yeah, I think
So
in
do you
Brazil,
think
another
AI could help with that? Sorry, it was a question to complement Diego's. Do you think AI can help with that?
Yes,
Sure.
for sure.
Okay.
Yes, I think AI, we need to be careful to use AI in a way that it could help everyone, and not increase the gap. Everybody
Mm-mm.
could have a better learning, to increase learning, but also not increasing the gap between them, and trying to increase learning with AI, not just for the people that have access to AI, as we intuitively think we could use AI.
I was just about to say that I think we can look under the perspective of adoption of technology and AI, but also I think in Brazil we still have a gap in terms of digital literacy and of course AI literacy. So sometimes even the schools and the teachers and the students who have access to technology and to AI system, they don't explore the full potential of the technology because they are just trying to reproduce the same old methods like learning methods and teaching methods using the new technology. And sometimes it's not a good option. So I think in Brazil we still have this gap that we are starting to work on this and having more teachers enrolled in like digital literacy courses, so can get to know more the potential and use this technology as much as they can to help the learning process, and not only like have something in the school to say that we have, but at the end it's not being used.
Yeah. I'm thinking about all this. Do you think generative AI can accelerate the adoption of AI in practice?
I can start this one.
Well,
I think, as I just mentioned, it doesn't matter if it's a more sophisticated analysis or if it's a better technology. At the end, if we don't know how to use these technologies, it won't make difference. And I think the majority of the discussion goes under the Elaine's questions. So how generative AI would change the way that we teach, for instance, a programming language, because now the students have access to these sophisticated methods, and how generative AI, which costs a lot to be used, would increase the gap between those with access and those without access. And for me in Brazil, just to say that we have this technology and that it's available now, it's not enough to make a big change. But we have some forums where we are discussing possibilities for using and for adopt this technology. And of course, it's very powerful. So we should be experimenting with this technology as well. But the point is how it would change the teaching learning process in practice. And this is something that we don't know how to answer yet, at least not from the people that I'm discussing with. And yes, Elaine has a question for this in her last slide. So I don't know, Elaine, if you know how examples of people using generative AI for programming language and what it changes in the way of teaching this type of course.
I know that more advanced students, I mean, not computer science 1, computer science 3, 4, they are using, and they are getting advantages of it, I think. They are more productive, they are coding faster, they are learning with the examples, but CS1, I'm not sure. I mean, are they gonna get the code, the solutions, and they're gonna just copy and paste, and that's okay for them? That worries me a lot. So does everyone should use it? I mean, and not even reflect on it? I'm not sure. I think my students don't use it yet. But I think maybe I'm naive and they're using it and I don't know. But I think if they use, they should reflect on it. They should understand it. But I'm not sure if they do that. So in sum, I think computer science 1 should use with very much parsimony. I don't know. Really think about it. And the more advanced one, maybe they could really get advantage from it. I mean, get more productive, get better codes. But I mean, it's a question I really want to discuss with you.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see that Matthew sent
Yeah. Matthew sent a comment. He says, I had thought about the problem of allowing school students with very low old tech, low or no connectivity a few years ago for e-learning. I put a summary of a potential solution approach here in this website. The paper was published in Distance Education Journal. I'm wondering if an offline AI tool can be used you can now get AI models that run from a single laptop. What do you think about that?
Yes, we can even run AI in a cell phone now, right? But the problem it's always the same because when we were conceiving that project that I mentioned and that Diego mentioned a similar one for math, we plan to have something for cell phones, but then the students they didn't have cell phones in some schools. So even for that, it was hard and in some case the teacher's cell phone was also very like old technology, so we don't have this processing power in the devices to run the AI in the device, at least not in this case. Of course it's not the whole Brazil, but if we want to reach all, we will have this problem. I think Diego can say more about this.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the nature of the problem. It seems that it's more it's not a technical problem. It's more a kind of adaptive problem that we need to learn the difference between the places and how to deal with that and to find the best solution for that for that context. So yeah, it's hard because in many places we don't have um, even electrical energy for the school, and at the same time we have very um, the schools very with sophisticated tools. The students with iPhones and so on, then they can use the best tools available. So it's a challenge for that, but it's interesting to find which technical problems we could solve and could help to solve. And I'm checking your paper, Matthew. Thank you for sharing, and we can keep talking about that.
Actually, Matthew agrees with the comments. We cannot assume too much technology in remote and low SIMS areas. In addition, we as educators have a responsibility to upskill our students in AI literacy. Students to be able to critically use and evaluate. Yeah, here is a proposal for AI literacy framework for higher education. This link. Thank you, Matthew. I think your teachers and students need to learn about this or their future. Yeah, and his complements the equipment's limits. He calls a project in Africa that puts a PC lab in a shipping container and powered by solar backup generation. Yes, thank you. And Janet has a question as well. Do those who copy and paste have an answerness of awareness of what they are copying versus those who don't have experience and may end up struggling even with the existing available codes? Seems it is an issue of expert versus novice coders.
Oh, and Lisa, I answered in the chat, but
Oh,
yes, I think
okay.
I mean, it's really usual when we copy and paste. I mean, we cannot live without copying and paste anymore. But the idea is that do novices do that, reflecting on what they are copying and pasting, do they understand? And the issue is that when they just copy and paste and just submit the code, that's not good. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the idea.
Okay. So I think we have only 4 minutes to finish. So I think we don't have time for another question, but I will ask all the panelists to sum it up and finalize with 1 minute speak to end up the panel, okay?
In the same
No,
order?
from my side, yeah, from my side, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak and to share a little bit of our experience. I will be around in the conference, so feel free to reach through Luva. And we have a very big and diverse country here, but I know that other parts of the world are also they also have these problems and these issues that need to be addressed. So I will be very happy to exchange knowledge and to exchange experience so we can like try to get AI working for all of us and not only for a few of us.
Just say thank you to everybody that attended the panel, and to make my words the words of Rafael. One of the big problems is and big challenges is to help um, increase learning, students learning, and giving more opportunities for learning as well, and so quality and equity. And I think we have the power to use AI for that, not just for improve learning, but also for reducing the inequalities we have with addressing sophisticated technologies such as AI. So thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Matthew, for your insightful thoughts and questions. We are open to collaboration. In Brazil, we really like to collaborate, so feel free to reach us, to contact us in WOVA or by email. And thank you guys for being here with us too, the other ones, and you guys, my friends. Oh, Matthew sent his email. I'll just copy that.
So thank you very much, Rafael, Diego, and Elaine, and thank you all the audience for being here to talk with us about um, Brazilian issues and practical ER. So thank you very much. We can chat in WOVA, and now we are closing this panel. Thank you.